Good day, everyone. Welcome to this lightning demo of myview, a PIMvendors.com webinar. I'm here together with Christoph Brandt, the CEO and founder, actually, of myview Systems, who'll get to introduce himself in a minute. But first, I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm the co-founder of PIMvendors.com. And as you may have seen some other webinars and events I've been hosting, you know what we do, but if this is your first event, PIMvendors.com is an independent product data consultancy. So if you have any questions about your product data process or your product data architecture, so all the tools that are involved in making that product data process as efficient and as smooth as possible, be that a PIM like myview or an onboarding tool, an AI tool to enrich all that great product data content, or maybe a syndication tool to map and publish all that product data to your marketplaces, e-commerce store, app, etc., making sure that you have that consistent omnichannel experience for your customers. Talk to us and we'll help you with, the next step on that journey. Whether you have a PIM already or not, whether you have a PIM that you want to use in a better way, let us know and we'll definitely be able to help you out. Feel free to check out our website with all the free resources, from a PIM selection tooling, a PIM scan tool with, as a result, an agnostic shortlist of different solutions, to the knowledge base that we have with all kinds of different articles on product data and the new developments in the product data space, be that AI or those dedicated tools, and finding the best of breed solution for each step in the product data journey. Having said all that, we'll look back at the end as well, but there's two more housekeeping things that I would like to share with you. One is that this session is being recorded. So if you have to leave early or there are some things that you need to take care of, don't worry. We'll be recording the full session and sharing that with everyone that is attending on LinkedIn. And two is that we take questions. So if you have any questions for me or for Christoph, or you see some interesting things or want to share your take on some interesting developments that the lightning demo touches as well, let us know in the comment section on the right-hand side. I'll try to weave in that question in the conversation today, or we'll take that question in the Q&A section at the end. I'll answer your question either directly on LinkedIn or afterwards when we touch base separately. So having said all that, I hope you have an inspiring, 55 minutes. And I'm going to hand over the floor to Christoph. Christoph, please introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you, Stephan. And hello, and thank you very much for having me today. So we're going to speak about PIM, especially in the lighting industry. First of all, I've got to introduce myself to the audience. My name is Christoph Brandt. I'm the founder and CEO of the myview Systems GmbH. We've been dealing with the topic of data management for over 20 years. And that's what's driving me, especially. I'm very enthusiastic about what you can do with data, product data, and all the applications around it. So very interesting. And hopefully today we're going to present something you really will find interesting. Skip the next slide. I'm going to speak about a product we call xmediaLight, which is specifically designed for the lighting industry. And I hope you stay tuned until I dig into that and shed some light on it. But first of all, I will try to motivate what our business is and what we do in general. Now, the myview Systems is a software manufacturer for that offers a PIM system, which is dedicated for technical, sophisticated products. On top of that, we have developed a product experience management platform that basically enables our customers to manage all data-related processes from creation to generation, through management and distribution of product data across all relevant channels, and on top of that, to develop applications or services. So it's quite broad spectrum, very generic. But for us, we are very specialized in data-driven product communication and the application based on that. And we have a lot of experience, over 20 years hours in that field. But we really focus on developing industry solutions. So our business is B2B and industry processes. To sum that up, it means we are PIM specialists and we have a passion for your product data. Right. When you think about product data today, the importance of product data is, I would say, is very clear. What you can see here is the number of channels, just a few of them, which we all know: print and advertising, web, mobile devices, e-commerce, marketplaces of wholesalers, point of sales, internal custom IT systems like CRM or ERP systems, or any other CAD systems which you might know, which need information to work in their processes. And there might be even more to come. This is just a few of them. The problem is that if you ask people about product data, what we see is that, for instance, here, we from Xmedia said that users want 49% of users want detailed product information is really important for the decision process. Or if you look at another survey where it's about returnals, and if detailed product information is supplied, the rate of returnals drops down. So it's very important to have good data here. Or if you look at marketing managers, most of marketing managers consider high quality data to be really important for their own business and for their success. So it's quite clear that product data has very high importance today. Now, we as a PIM vendor, of course, see PIM systems as game changers to increase efficiency and data maintenance, which is the core of what a PIM system is made for. So what does this mean? The ultimate goal is to create a single source of truth of your data. And you can achieve that by maybe one-time data collection. You like import data from other systems into one database. But in reality, it's an ongoing process. And what you do, you have a distributed data collection scenario where you induce information from giant systems like the ERP system or a PLM system or other systems. You got your departments which care about your products and, of course, which are responsible for the data, and they fill in and enrich product data all the time to keep it up to date. That's like the development in the lab, product development, product management, or marketing management, or sales, or whosoever is responsible for product data. So you have to manage all that data into one single entity. And this is what PIM systems are built for. Now, once you have done that, you have the ability to quality test data. And that's where the data starts to shine, as I mentioned before. This is because you need quality for all digital processes which you plug into the system. Without quality data, it's no fun to work because processes break and customers get angry and so on and so on. So huge problems. So quality data is very, very important. And last step for getting data together is automated data generation, which has gained more important today as we speak of AI everywhere. And of course, it's true. So like in PIM systems, we aggregated data programmatically, but today you're able to like generate text from AI, from ChatGPT. You can translate via DeepL, for instance. You have specialized services from the lighting industry like Relics Analyze, and so on, so on. So you can integrate automated processes to generate data. That makes it very efficient. When talking about our PIXM platform, I think it's important just to give you a short insight how we differentiate from other PIM vendors. What you see here is basically a two section system. On the bottom, you see the classical PIM system where you do your data management. It's the editorial product database. That's where you gather all your data together. You do your publication planning. And once you've done that, you synchronize it in the next level into what we call the application and domain management. And this is what we see is that level, what you need to distribute data within your company in whatever channel you need or outside. And it has to be a controlled level where you have approved product information and you have dedicated application models to work with that data, also function. And this works, of course, today. That's pretty much standard via API. And via the API, you can integrate that data in nearly everything you can imagine. And of course, it's the user experience which happens there, which is the magic to your data and gives it the emotion it needs or the completeness it has to be. But this ranges from mobile devices, e-commerce scenarios, integration scenarios, to whatsoever scenario you can think of. And this is what we call industrial product experience management. Right. So when you think of benefits, I summed up 4 benefits. There are many benefits, but the main benefits I see is a PIM system saves time and cost through automation. You're faster, you don't need so many resources, the machine works for you. Then, of course, we talked about product quality. You have a installed process to improve your product quality in one single space. Very important. By doing that, you create that single point of truth for your product data. And this is kind of a backbone of data you need to use all your data in the relevant processes. It can't be underestimated. That's why I keep on saying that. But this is a great value you generate with the PIM system. And when you have that, your time to market is really shortening because you can deliver data to customers, to suppliers, to everyone who needs it in good quality. And that makes life easier for everyone. Last point, if you do that, people tend to have better conversion rates. Our customers see that because they can deliver what customers want. The details they want, the quality they want, and the time period they want it. So these are the main benefits we see, and we think our customers are able to achieve these. A few references I have here from the lighting industry, of course, produces luminaires and sensors. What you see is here is their web catalog where you find all their data, all their documents, everything completely automatic, generated from their product data. The thing is to go onto these websites to have a look because they have lots of functionalities like filtering, rating product data sheets and sort of stuff. So it gives you kind of an idea of what kind of data we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll be sharing the links to those websites if I can find them, Christoph, directly in the chat. But maybe if we look at Easy Looks, like what was the challenge you solved for them? Because I think an integrated platform that also solves, for example, the technical data sheet creation, that is super interesting. But if you could look at what their question was and how you solved that question, that challenge, maybe shed some more light on that.
But basically what everyone of our customers wants to do is to generate from one data stream the complete experience. That means you need all the data, but you also need all the functions in terms of you want to search and navigate the data, you want to filter the data, want to find the products and down to the little details. And then, of course, you want to generate product information sheets, product data sheets. In this case, Easy Looks, they produce, I don't know, about 30,000 a week, because they are produced in 10 or 12 languages. I'm not really sure, multiple languages. And this is a great value for them. That is kind of a running machine, which is daily. The data is daily pushed into the system and is available for customers. And there's no end in terms of what you can do with it. Like they have product comparisons. I think you can store data, customer logins, stuff like that. It's kind of a service thing that you can add up services for your customers. Especially Easy Looks, the complexity lies in the big variance of data. But this is very common to all other luminaire manufacturers. Let's just switch to the next part to give you an idea. If you look at FZB, also a luminaire manufacturer, has a different portfolio, but they had indoor lightings, outdoor lightings. They have like control lightings and stuff. But they also have the problem that medicine products, that people want to search for products, want to filter products. Sometimes they want to configure products. This is also a use case. And this also has to be like enriched with media data, videos, pictures, and all the documents you need, like how to mounting documents, or even April certificates and stuff like that. The next example is PES, for instance. Outdoor lighting for streets is a bit different, but they had the requirement to run a CPQ application, and this all runs on our platforms. Like all what you see is it's integrated in a content management system. So you don't see the difference whether you're on a news website or you're in the product catalog. But everything which is product related is out of our system in terms of every detail, everything in every language. That makes it quite interesting and very efficient to run, even for smaller manufacturers, because you don't need the big stuff to run these processes. You just need the good quality data. Apart from lighting, of course, we do other projects in other industries. For instance, here's the HVAC industry or building industry. It's different products, but the goal for all these customers is the same: to generate a value stream from their data. In this case, we see a CPQ application, quite complex, where you can configure a heating or cooling setup from a size of a small house to an industrial facility. So the whole application is very, very flexible, and it generates a lot of value for this customer because it runs worldwide. It runs in, 25 languages. The internal product management would not be able to support all these sales calls to ask questions or answer questions. What they really rely on is that you just do it yourself. And the planning guys, that's basically the use of these systems, they need the information to go into their discussions with their customers. That may be schools, hotels, whatsoever. So a lot of value. And also this is based on our platform completely. There's no other product in between. It runs completely on that API, and the whole front end is based on that API. So last example is Duschelux for also building industry. They run they produce these douche cabins, which are highly configurable. What they wanted to have is a very emotional presentation in the web, and of course, ability to configure every detail of a douche cabin. I can't show you this in that presentation because this would take up too much time, but if you go to the website, you can see the level of detail. It's you step through, it's easy to use, but you can see how many details you can really configure to make it your own personal product. So, and again, here's all these informations we gather into one single source, provided that way that we can work on it with that kind of applications. Right. Now, jumping back to last slide about us. We've been founded in 2004, so about 20 years ago. Headquarters are in the heart of Germany, in Büren-Westfalen. That's near Bielefeld, if you know that. So we're in the middle of it, and we can reach from there to all our customers, which are mainly in the DACH region. Like we have some customers in abroad in Japan, and I'm not sure somewhere else, but mainly DACH region, because the focus we have is B2B and manufacturers and wholesalers, which deal with technical goods, but manufacturers is our customer target group. We implemented at least 100 projects. We have 2 software products which are combined in that PXM platform. We call it XOM and Xmedia, and you might come across that if you go to our website. You can see that they just work closely together to enable these solutions we provide. We are 100% shareholder managed, so it's like we're independent, and we've got about 30 employees who are working hard every day and dedicated to work to make this all work. Right. Now, coming back to my initial slides, the question is, what is PIM in the lighting industry good for? And when you look at the lighting industry, I hope some of our audiences is from the lighting industry. I see some challenges, some current challenges occurring there. And this, especially in lighting industries, you have the complexity of products in its diversity and its variance. So like if you take a luminaire and you can like decide on the light color, you can decide on the lumen value, you could decide on the light source, maybe especially in LED light sources where you can step up the lumen factor. You have more than one light sources per product. You've got mounting types, you've got photometric accessories. If you combine all that, it makes the product management quite complex. But that's a problem, how to handle that. Next problem is in that industry, you need to exchange in various formats to be able to pursue your business. That means for lighting simulation, for instance, light planning, you got specialized formats like from Relux or for Dialux, which are the leading companies for lighting planning software. You got things like Olumdat, Revit, Wolf2, I don't know, all sorts of special formats. You got ETIM classification systems to deliver your standardized catalogs to wholesalers in maybe the MECAT format in Germany. So all sorts of technical exchange formats which have to be produced mainly not on a daily basis, but I would say once a month. Something like this. Then you got the regulatory requirements of the EU that you have to deliver data for your energy efficiency, meaning April information. You got to put your data into the April database. And of course, last point, market and sales requirements. Market in lighting is that you provide information to planners, lighting planners, and they need really accurate information to like set up the planning, run the planning and the simulation, render nice pictures from it to be able to persuade their customers. So they really rely on good quality data, and this data has to be in the right structure and complete. And in sales, it's pretty much the same because sales, basically architects, they want to have glossary materials, high quality market materials, nice pictures of where your product is apply pictures of scenes in the outside, inside. But lots of materials you have to provide, and this is again not easy to get it all together. The good question, the good question is, but we have an answer to that. What we did is because we have a lot of experience in lighting industry for at least also 20 years. We started to think about a more specific PIM system, which we called xmediaLight. The idea was that we say, okay, how can we put some more specific technical process into a PIM system? Because normally a PIM system is generic in terms of you can do publications, but it's not able to do these highly specialized formats or structural data you need. And that's why we invented xmediaLight. Now, the goal was to bring that PIM efficiency and the industry focus together and to build a service like a PIM service that is able to manage product data, especially for lighting and luminaire industry. So if you look at a process, our idea was that we said, okay, when you start from scratch, first thing we need, if you want to provide lighting specific data, you need that data. And that means you have to provide data about photometric data about LDTs, for instance, which gives you an idea on how the lighting characteristics of a product is. You have 3D information, which gives an idea how the product can be mounted in space. And you need, on top of that, any kind of assets, pictures, documents to complete the set of data you need for planning, or for instance, for doing renderings and stuff like that. Now, this is all basic data, which you then have to link to the actual products. And what we did, we have a standardized process which combines all this data in a kind of, you can think of templates, which you can aggregate and just import into the system. That's it. You can also automate this because it's all very standardized. So not easy to do if you don't have a good data quality, but if you get this all together, you're up and running. We import it automatically into a pre-configured model, and then you're basically finished in terms of what can I do with my data. So you don't need to work manually on it. You have the possibility to work manually. So you could go into the system and enrich and complete or modify data. But the easiest path would be just to get the information and export it into, for instance, ROLF2 or GLDF. ROLF2 is a format from Velux, a planning format. And GLDF is a new standard. It's called the Global Lighting Data Format. And that was invented from Dialux and Velux together to make life easier for luminaire manufacturers, because it's just one data format you have to provide and not two. ROLF2 would be Velux, and then there's another one for Dialux. And GLDF just does it all together. And GLDF does a little bit more. It's more, has more capabilities. It combines all the data I was speaking about in the step upload into one structured format. 3D data included, pictures included, everything included, photometrics included. So it's a really, really complex data format, but you can do a lot of stuff with it. Once you have that, you can distribute it. And in this case, this would be, for instance, Relux PIM. Most of you who work in lighting industry know maybe Relux Net, and they're similar to Dialux, where you can find product data from all manufacturers of the lighting industry available for planning, because these guys, they do the planning tools and they have integrated these data into their database. Right. If you're able to provide that, you have a process which can be fully automated. If you want to do more, that's the idea of xmediaLight, you can also integrate some services. For instance, Relux analyzes a service which generates from your LDT, from your photometric data, the advanced data. That means the light Lichtverteilungskurve in German, the light distribution curve you need and on your data sheet, and or the UGA or the values you need. And the beauty of this is you have the data, we click on a button, and then it generates this data automatically. Next step would be that you could generate health 3D data from your documents. And that's what you need for generating BIM information, or for generate that information to be able to plan in space in the CAD systems. And that includes the next step, that you could then provide data into April, into GAP, into BMakeIt, or where you want to go with the data. So you develop the xmediaLight system into a full PIM system, basically, from the process, but you can start small. So, and in the end, if you have that, you have all the possibilities that PIM system has, or our PIM system has. You can go into marketplaces, print automation, data sheets, catalogs, online shops, whatsoever. I don't have to read them all. And these are all the channels I was talking about in the other slide. Right. So that's basically what xmediaLight is offering. Provide is a flexible range of how you can operate this. You can operate it as a SaaS service. So you just book it and run it. We can operate it as in a dedicated hosting. Sometimes it's necessary to do that. Not every customer wants to run a SaaS application. Or we're running on-premise. So we're very flexible. The main operation I see is the SaaS operation, because it's very easy to ramp up. It's no big project, you just start. When you start small, we'll also have growth options. I mean, from that very basic process, you can go into these Relux advanced processes with automatic data generation, or you grow into a full PIM. So that the message is, you can start small and then step by step grow into a full PIM system, which in the end you will need if you want to play with your data in all channels which are relevant. After that, you can top that one into that blue level, into the PXM platform, which also supports GLDF, and that enables B2B integration scenarios, app development, web applications, CPQ applications, or self-service portals and things like that. I think VC is very important today because the service, especially in lighting industries, the product itself is heavily under pressure because we have a lot of Asian product producers, and we see the producers in the DACH region, for instance, they have a very strong focus on service, and customers need services to be able to implement the products correctly. Right. What makes xmediaLight stand out from our point of view? I highlighted a few things and some things a bit more. I would say it's designed as a SaaS application, so you can easily start with it without having to start a big project. It has pre-configured process and data models. All what you need for lighting is already there. You don't have to think about a data model, or you have to call somebody who knows how to construct a data model. We already did it for you. You got these industry-specific value-added functions, meaning you can generate data you need in the end without manual impact. And of course, you have a data provision for GLDF, which is fairly new. So you get one process for Relux and Dialux, and not two of them. On top of that, of course, you can seamlessly integrate it into existing PIM solutions. We thought this is quite important to say, because we find out there in the market there's other PIM vendors and other companies who already have PIM systems, but still need these special processes. And that's why we designed it a way that you just integrate it, just plug it into your existing PIM system, and off you go. It also complies with the latest requirements for PIM processes. So most of you will have to supply PIM models. This also works. PIM is also part of GLDF in terms of 3D modelings. And of course, you have the ability to use the product data for other output channels. Right. It sums up into reduced costs and resources in the end. And I think this is a quite attractive bundle. Right. What is the target group for xmediaLight? How it is designed today? We see two main target groups here. One is the manufacturer and retailer in the lighting industry who hasn't got a PIM system right now. He can start in a very affordable and expandable way into entry-level PIM, start automating and improving data quality, and then grow from that. So that's quite interesting for somebody who has not yet decided to investing into a PIM system. If you have already decided, then the scenario 2 would be that you can plug in that xmediaLight service as a downstream service for data provision, specific for lighting planning data, or other industry-specific export formats, or for industry-specific portals, for instance, Power or whosoever is out there. So these are the two target groups which we think should have an interest in xmediaLight. And of course, for us, it also means, because we are very convinced of our PIM system, you can grow into a full PIM, and that would be our Xmedia PIM system. Right. Last slide from me and Stephan. I'm not sure about time.
Doing very well, for sure.
Here you can see some of our references. It's like, as I said, I picked out the mainly like lighting references. We have a good footprint in the market, and we're still growing and working hard for it, that we convince others to join us on that. What I could offer you now is that I switch into the system to get you a little bit of an idea what the system looks like. Stephan, is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
I think it's very interesting to see the actual interface people are going to be working in.
Yeah. So what you see is basically that's our data manager is one module in our system, which is responsible for aggregating and working with data. And what I wanted to show is just what this means in terms of industry-specific data.
Can you share the other tab? Because
I have to share. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Well, you can talk abstractly about the user interface. That also works.
It's no,
Slightly more
that
difficult.
makes it. It looks a lot better. It looks a lot better now.
This looks better, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. So what you find here, you got a number of modules. I can speak about them in a second. But the main model you face is when it turns of aggregating data is the data manager model, where you, as a PIM system classical is built off, you have your taxonomy here on the left side, where you structure your data down to a level of a variant. And this is very specific to each customer. From our point of view, from lighting, this is quite similar in the lighting branch because the products are quite similar, but every customer has its own structure here. And you configure the whole model to work with the data. So what you can see here is the aggregated data, all sorts of information in a preview. And then we have organized all the data into various tabs to structure it, like from status data, workflows. I think there are no workflows configured here, to master data, which we retrieve from the master system, classification data for all the classifications you want to provide. Again, ATIM 7, 8, 9, USNPC, whatsoever. Very important, the texts. You get a little bit of an idea that the complexity of data is quite high. We're not talking about 30 attributes. We're talking about hundreds of attributes here, which are all isolated and can be managed in detail. Of course, pictures, which you have to link to the articles, automatic information you have to link to the articles, or data sheets, security data sheets, user manual, and so on. So the complete set of information to make the article complete. And technical data, and it all works the same way. Like we have what we call these attribute lists. Everything you see is configurable, but it's already configured for you also in the languages. So you can really use the system right away. If you don't want it, you can change it the way you like it. So that's not a problem. Accessories, and then these very specific lighting data. And we organize this view that way. This also configurable that you can see everything you need for a specific process. In this case is the Relex analyzer. You can see very technical data down to the UGR table. And this is derived from the LET data you provided upfront, this one here. And just to give an idea what this means, I'm going to delete this value. Now this is empty. And if I tell the system now to use Relex Analyze and the provided LDT document, and now he's looking into that document and generates all this data automatically. It takes a little bit, about 10 to 20 seconds, I don't know. You can run it in batch processes, but you don't have to do anything manually. The only thing you have to do is to join the article with the LDT file.
Maybe a quick question, Christoph, in that respect. I see the hierarchy that you have built up in the classification.
Right.
Does it include inheritance in that hierarchy?
Yeah. I didn't go into that detail because like 10 years ago, we were speaking about inheritance and how you configure that hierarchy. And I think this is pretty much standard in PIM systems today, or the PIM systems, I think, which can call themselves PIM systems. Of course, you can like do all this attribute inheritance stuff and combine stuff and individualize stuff to any detail.
But is that all the way down, like all the 5 levels that I see right now, or is it just 1 or 2 levels?
Oh yeah. No, it's all the way down. It's like you can. What we do, we attach these. We call them submap license. That's the set of attributes to a level in the taxonomy, and then it gets inherited down to the leaves of the tree. And then you can, and this is just for the definitions, and you can also do that for the values. Like if you put values in there and the values get down distributed, and you can override them and stuff like that. So this is like basic functionality to have an efficient data model.
Yeah. And is that purely hierarchical, or is it also relational?
It's also relational. What we don't do is we don't inherit over a relation, which is, I think, technically or conceptually quite complicated. We have, of course, we can build networks. Accessories is a very simple example of that, where you link to other products and combine these to, like here, we can see these are all links to other products in the classification. We also have stuff like we have hierarchical attributes where you can, since here you can see, you have in context of a value, have different values of a attribute. In this case, we have Betriebsgerät induktiv and Betriebsgerät EVG, which leads to different Leistungsparameter. I'm sorry for my English here. And we need this very often to model the complexity, especially in the lighting industry, but also in other industries. You need to have these hierarchicals, and these hierarchies can be 3, 4, 5 levels deep. It's no limit. Right. As you can see, the value has magically returned. So that was from the service, and the real process is that all these values get generated when they are in the LDT file. And if you look to the P3D, it's pretty similar. And so you build up your data model, and when you want to provide it to somebody, we got a module that's called the view editor. Went to, all right, this is a publication, what we call the publication channel. This defines which articles, which attributes, in what format is distributed in or exported. And here you can see we have, for instance, Abella. What I could do is just say, okay, give me a GLDF or a ROIF2 expert from that. And here you can see all the other experts. It's like shopware, we got Dialogs, April, PIMvDE, AG, Ausschreiben. So all these specific exports you need to run your business processes.
Do you manage them for customers? Like, do you manage if anything changes in one of those standards? Do you then make those changes, or is that up to the customer?
Now, like the standards we pursue, that if the standard changes, like if you go from 8 to 9, we change that and we have a migration path. Our customers don't have to do anything for that. Also, the management of these processes, customers do on their own. We just train them. Mostly, we would say most of these processes run fully automatic, but you can also run manually. So it's a system which you can run on your own. You don't need our expertise. You just need our expertise for building up or setting up the system and until the process is running. So that's basically the two main modules you need. On top of that is, of course, the dashboard. We can see what's the quality of data, what is there to do, check text it, put articles in the right category, go into the pictures, and so on, so on. And we can attach workflows to that so that you can distribute these tasks into your organization. That's quite interesting. You've got a bigger organization. We go over integrated MAM module. I hope this works. No, I can't show you this, don't worry. It's still there. You can find it on our website. It's completely integrated into the system where you can manage all your assets. And just look if I can to these. Sorry, I can't show you that. But it's completely integrated, and we can run all these related asset management processes, like calculate derivatives, provide these pictures into on stream into the web, and so on, so on. It's all integrated into the system. And there's many more. I don't know whether I can talk or Start the jobs. Yeah, that's quite interesting here. Maybe this is automation. I talked a lot about like efficiency. Efficiency means you have to fully automate 100% the processes, and you need a process control for that. That's, we call it job control center, where you can configure all your processes and time the processes and run them and control them to make all this magic happen. Right. If you've got more questions about this system, or if you like a presentation, don't hesitate to give me a call or to contact us. We're happy to show you more detail and more structured what you can do with it and what features you'll find in there.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. An hour is too short to really dive into a PIM system, into the detail that you might want to. But I'm really glad that you could highlight the specific elements that are relevant for the lighting industry. And I think the focus and also the sort of ability to manage that whole process that is so specifically tailored to this industry, as well as the management of the product data models you need to publish to the different classifications. That's, I think, super interesting for anyone working in this industry, and it makes a lot of sense to showcase that today, as well as the general introduction to the tooling and the company. It makes sense that you focus on the German lighting industry, but what I see from my work with other clients across the home and living industry, but also specifically the lighting industry, they suffer the same. Well, they have the same challenge. Let's put it that way. Yeah,
they have the same challenge. Well, we don't really focus on the German lighting industry, but we have a lot of industry in Germany, and
right. No,
of
sorry,
course in the DACH region. But we're happy to take customers from all other countries. But till now, the core market for us is the DACH region. We're thinking of expanding, of course, and the system's fully internationalized. Like it's available in languages. It can scale to languages how many soever. So you can easily use it in other countries under other markets.
And if customers are interested, or if people are interested to learn more, they can book a demo. But if you what would then be the next step? Would you would you be, myview, be the one also doing the implementation?
Well, the first step would be to contact us. You can contact me or my colleague, but if you contact me, I can forward this to my colleague, which gives you a more detailed presentation. Or we have a call about your requirements and your situation, where your point is, things which are for you important. And then, of course, you can get a presentation, and then from there we can start whatever scenario. And basically, the system is very easy to configure, so that we have a very, very fast ramp up. We're not seeing complex projects in hundreds and hundreds of man days. But of course, it's the more channels you want to implement, you slowly start with your web catalog, or you start with the BME cut process, and then you evolve from that. And this takes typically between half a year and then for 2 or 3 years to get to that stage.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I don't see any questions from the audience, but if you have any questions you don't dare ask publicly, and you have Christoph's contact details here. I also shared his profile, his LinkedIn profile, in the comments, so you can check out that there as well. And of course, you can check out the myview site and book a demo there, or get more information there. Do you have any parting thoughts, Christoph? Because then I would wrap up.
Well, thank you for everyone listening, and I hope I got the message across. And sorry for the one or other glitch in my presentation, but this is the way it is.
No, not at all. We see lots of glitches that are much worse. No, thanks a lot for being here, Christoph, and making the time to showcase this specific vision on PIM and the specific benefits of PIM in general, but also specific to the lighting industry. I think that's super interesting. And in addition to all the other hundreds of PIM systems that are out there. So glad we could showcase that today. And thanks to the audience for being here with us and sticking around. If you missed parts or if you want to review them, there will be a recording made available to everyone. So feel free to check out that recording. We'll share that with everyone afterwards. And again, if you have any questions about or more generic product data questions, please reach out to us and visit PIMvendors.com. But definitely also check out myview either on the website or directly by reaching out to Christoph. So I'm happy to see you another time. Thanks a lot. And
Thank you, Stephan. Bye.